A brand new 1/12 scale werewolf with cloth goods. Count me in.
DorkLair.
This jungle version is one of two different releases that they're doing of their previously 1/6 scale werewolf in the 1/12 scale now, so roughly a 6-inch scale figure. Call me impressed on this one because I just look at it. It's pretty awesome. It's bare bones, like doesn't really come with anything. Like everything in the box beside the pretty generic stand that it comes with, you're looking at. This is the whole shebang right here. But I don't know that you need much more. Like, this is a pretty cool figure. It's got some nice articulation. Nothing mind-blowing, you know. When I think of COOMODEL, I kind of think of those samurai figures, and those are pretty well-articulated figures. This, of course, is much less of a cloth goods figure. Like, there's so much sculpt work going on that I feel like they were probably trying to minimize all of the visible joints, so they kind of kept that at a minimum. But it works. Like, it's got enough articulation to get into, for example, this dynamic pose right here. And then, you know, it's got some really cool weathered cloth goods. It's not a lot of cloth goods, but the weathering's great. It's all torn and tattered. Very cool look. Anyway, let's get into this review. Okay, zooming in for a close look at our werewolf, the jungle werewolf. Pretty cool looking head sculpt. I gotta say, the jaw feels a little underbite-like. I don't know. It just like, when you kind of open it up, it feels a little bit like it's like hanging, like it's floppy. Not the actual joint itself, but the look of it. Like, I don't know, it doesn't feel aggressive it feels very kind of cartoony or something. I almost prefer the closed jaw look, just because when it hangs down, it just feels like it's coming out too far this way. Still pretty cool that they put the articulation in there. Gives you a couple options. You can see the eyes are looking forward, and both of my eyes I think are painted pretty well with those pupils kind of running forward. It's kind of hard to get a good look at them from straight on, but when it's a little bit to the side, you can kind of see those pupils there. I like the nice long ears that are pinned back. That's just a cool look for a werewolf. So you've got the head and then the neck and then the body are separate pieces. Nice looking fur. At the end of the video, I'll pull off the cloth, or I'll at least attempt to. I haven't actually tried taking it off for fear of not being able to get it back on. But at the end, I'll see if I can take off the cloth and see how that looks. But there's no like other hands, there's no other accessories, just this body. But you can see the details are awesome. That's a really cool looking sculpt work in that fur there. And, you know, the cloth does have some like pocket details. Super tattered, strategically ripped in all these places, like he just burst out of his shirt. And then there's stains and stuff going on throughout it. Pretty sweet. Yeah, he's got the shorts tied with a rope, and then you got belt loops there. And you know, the pants are not ripped evenly; they're ripped at different lengths, so makes for like a pretty unique look there. Especially when you get the legs posed into like different positions, having the pant legs at a different angle, it just makes it look even more wild and untamed. But yeah, I mean, it's a really cool looking figure. I like this a lot. Here's a look at the hand. Like a nice little dirty claws going on there. Very cool. Very cool stuff here. This is a sweet figure. And the feet, I kind of expected maybe some type of like toe articulation, so you could have them be flat-footed or up on the toes, like man version, or more wolf versus more man, but it's one piece. You can have them posed flat-footed here, but it just doesn't look great. But if you want him to stand like a man, you can. It just looks a little odd. I'm very impressed with how this came out. And I get it. They're like, you know, like their other one was probably so successful and awesome that they were like, yeah, let's make a 1/12 version. So I guess it probably shouldn't be terribly surprising that their 1/12 version is good. Okay, before we get into size comparisons, here's a quick look at the height of the figure. And as you can see, to the top of the ears, when he's standing fully like human style, this is probably about as natural as you're going to get of a fully erect pose. This is pretty much right at 7 inches. Most people are probably going to pose him much more crouched down. And his articulation really lends itself to the more crouched poses. So I don't see a ton of people having him standing up at the full 7 inches, but just, just for informational purposes, he's about 7 inches tall. First of all, we have a pretty standard size Mythic Legion Knight on the left. It is a kit bash, but it's the same size as any other Knight figure. And then on the right, we have a Mafex Dark Knight Returns Batman. Next, we've got a couple Mezcos. I feel like he's right at home with these guys. On the left, we have Nosferatu. On the right, we have the Monster Hunter Doc Nocturnal. Next, here he is next to a couple Storm Collectibles Golden Axe figures. On the left, we have Axe Battler. On the right, we've got a Gold Skeleton. And finally, we have a couple Super 7 figures. On the left is the Serpent God Thulsa Doom from Conan the Barbarian. And on the right is Skeletor from the Masters of the Universe movie. For the articulation, there's a couple points into the head area. The top point really just twists. I don't think there's a ton of up and down motion going on with that top joint, but you can twist it at the top of the neck there. And then the base of the neck is where all the motion comes in, so you can kind of shimmy it down and up. I believe there's a barbell in there. I haven't been able to get it off yet, but there's some decent range of motion in the head, and it can turn side to side. The only issue is it can't go down very far. So you got to really use the crouching position for it to look down. As I untuck the shirt, you can get a look into the arm. There's no butterfly joint to speak of, but there's a nice deep cut. So when you want to reach across, he can come across pretty well. Of course, he can swing his arm all the way around, but you can't really do it because the shirt may kind of rip or twist out of position. Just coming out to the side, the arm can swing up past his shoulder. It can also twist at that same peg at the shoulder socket there. And then hiking his sleeve up, you can get a look at the deep hinge joint. There is a twist at the top of the elbow, and then you can bring that hinge up a little past 90 degrees there. So, and I gotta say, the joints are super smooth. Everything is really, it's got that almost like SH Figuarts feel, where it's like nice and dense and smooth. It's like tight and smooth at the same time, if that makes sense at all. I love the feel of these joints. Another hinge and twist at the wrist. Get a little bit of motion there. All right, I'm just gonna do it right now and try to attempt to get this shirt off of him. We'll see how it goes. Luckily, the arms do pin back pretty well, so I think I'll be able to just pull these off. Let me get the hands off, and then I'll pull the shirt right off, and you can get a good look at the figure. Real quick, those are mushroom joints at the wrist pegs, so please apply ample heat if you are going to remove the hands. It was not easy getting those off. Okay, I got the hands back in, and I got the shirt off, and you can see just how smooth, it's just so smooth. I really like these joints. And if you want to just see sort of how he looks with the shirt fully off, there you go. I will probably not attempt the shorts right now during the video after taking the hands off. I feel like I want to spend more time before I take these feet off or attempt to do so. I may need to boil some water for those. Anyway, so back to the articulation. So the arms can go way out, and then you can twist at the top, and you can crunch forward, and then you can crunch back. Not a ton of movement, but enough so that you can kind of do some cool and interesting poses. And there's no lower waist articulation down there. It's just the hips when you get down below the belt there. And the hips can kick out way far, and that's where you get the crouch. You get the crouch in these really ample knee joints right here. So double knees, lots of good crouching action going on for the werewolf. And that's where the articulation shines for me with this figure. You probably can't see it, but there is a ball joint at the hip over here. So you have outward and inward rotation. Nice deep hinge up and down at the ankle. And then you have a pretty ample angled rocker as well. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good articulation with this guy. And the reason why I didn't do the accessories is, I mean, it's got the shirt and the pants, and then the only other thing it's got is this super generic COOMODEL 1/12 scale crotch stand that's, reminiscent of a lot of 6 scale figure stands. Really nothing to write home about for accessories. That's pretty much it. I may have forgot to really show off the jaw articulation. It does feel a little loose, but maybe a little heat and kind of fix it up a little bit, but there's a little movement in the jaw there too. But overall, I really like this figure. I'm pretty impressed. I do have the white one. I haven't opened it yet. I may review that. I'm not sure. I mean, it's it's going to be the exact same thing. It's just got like white fur, and then it's got like a bloody shirt. So I may review that, I don't know. I do want to review this, however, Thulsa Doom, because this just came in on the same day. So this figure rocks. The cloth goods on this are wild. Very cool stuff there. Anyway, in the meantime, while you wait for that one, if you want to watch one of my previous reviews, check out this one right here. And until next time, may the force be with you. Okay, now I have him in what I would consider to be a more normal pose for this type of